In the Ngorongoro crater, one of Africa's most awe-inspiring natural wonders, wildlife writes its story with every new dawn. Within this vast natural amphitheater encircled by ancient volcanic walls and nourished by rich grasslands, every animal is a true fighter, compelled to struggle day after day for the chance to survive. Here, survival follows no simple rules. Strength alone does not always decide the outcome, and the hunted are not always the weakest. Strategy, endurance, instinct, and sometimes sheer chance can reshape destiny in a matter of seconds. Predators and prey exist in a delicate balance where a single mistake can mean the end, and every success becomes another opportunity to live. Ngorongoro is a stage where nature reveals its most powerful face raw, unpredictable, yet remarkably balanced. Welcome to the heart of a world where every encounter matters, and every life tells a story of courage, resilience, and survival. More than 2 million years ago, a colossal volcanic eruption reshaped this land, creating one of the largest and most impressive calderas on Earth. From the devastation, nature slowly reclaimed its space, turning Ngorongoro into a vast wildlife haven where countless species found shelter, nourishment, and a chance to thrive. Today, this ancient crater is the stage for relentless struggles for survival. Apex predators such as lions, leopards, and hyenas test their strength against formidable rivals like buffalo and zebras. Yet the story of Ngorongoro goes far beyond its largest inhabitants. The salty waters of Lake Magadi support immense flocks of flamingos that paint the sky in shades of pink, while vultures recycle life by consuming the remains of the fallen. Beneath it all, dung beetles work unseen, shaping the soil and helping the grasslands remain rich, fertile, and alive. Across the vast floor of the Ngorongoro crater stretches a domain ruled by a formidable power. Here, no predator rivals the authority of the lion. Yet behind this symbol of dominance lies a relentless world of violent clashes, calculated hunts, and extreme trials where survival is never guaranteed. A lion never rules alone. In Ngorongoro, lions live within pride's highly complex social system shaped by thousands of years of evolution. A typical pride consists of several adult females, usually 3 to 15, who serve as the primary hunters, alongside one or more dominant males. These males are powerful guardians, responsible for defending territory and lineage against constant threats. Lionesses form the true foundation of the pride. Beyond their role as hunters, they are devoted mothers. When cubs are born, the entire pride shares the responsibility of protecting and raising them. Even so, life on the savannah is unforgiving, and nearly half of all cubs never reach adulthood. From an early age, they must learn to hunt, to defend themselves, and above all, to endure. At the heart of the pride stands the dominant male, a creature of immense strength and unwavering resolve. Though he seldom joins the hunt, he will fight relentlessly to protect his bloodline. Exiled males roam the plains as restless challengers, constantly seeking to overthrow him. When a new male takes control, he eliminates cubs that are not his own. A harsh but instinctive act that ensures his genes will carry on. Lions are not the fastest hunters, nor are they the most enduring. They lack the blistering speed of cheetahs and the stamina of African wild dogs. What sets them apart is something far more powerful: flawless coordination. A lion hunt is never a simple chase. It is a carefully executed strategy, almost like a military maneuver. Once prey is selected, the pride moves with silence and precision. One lioness distracts and unsettles the target. Another closes in from the side, while the final strike comes from behind, swift, precise, and decisive. Even so, success is never assured. A single kick from an antelope can severely injure a lion, and an enraged buffalo can hurl an attacker through the air with devastating force. At times, one failed hunt can cost a lion its life. Male lions rarely take part in hunts, but when they do, their raw power is unmistakable. A single male can bring down an adult buffalo, though the risk is extreme. Each blow and bite becomes a desperate gamble between hunger and survival. The savanna is more than a landscape of predators and prey. It is a battlefield shaped by constant rivalries. Among the fiercest is the struggle between lions and buffalo. Buffalo are far from defenseless. When threatened, they may stand their ground, forming protective circles around their young. If they choose to fight back, the collision is violent and unforgiving. One misstep can send a lion crashing through the air under the force of a relentless charge. The lion's most dangerous rival is not the buffalo, but the hyena. Clever, bold, and remarkably intelligent, hyenas are always searching for an opening. A large enough clan can steal a kill from lions or even bring down a lone individual that lets its guard slip. The conflict between lions and hyenas has burned for centuries. Their clashes are not only about food, but also about territory and dominance. An adult male lion can kill a hyena with a single powerful bite, yet when outnumbered, even the king of the savanna is forced to retreat. On the African plains, no rain lasts forever. Every adult lion knows that his rule is temporary. As age slowly erodes his strength, wandering males begin to eye the pride, waiting for the moment to challenge his authority. When a new contender arrives, confrontation is unavoidable. If the reigning male falls, he is driven away and sometimes killed. Control of the pride shifts to the victor, and cubs that are not his own are eliminated, clearing the way for his lineage to take hold. This is the harsh law of the wild, only the strongest endure. Among the towering crater walls and endless grasslands of Ngorongoro, where powerful predators like lions and hyenas rule the land, every single day becomes a struggle for the right to survive. Another kind of hunter moves through Ngorongoro the leopard, a master of stealth and sudden, decisive strikes. It is the most elusive big cat in the region. Unlike lions, it does not display its power openly, and unlike hyenas, it does not rely on a clan. The leopard is a silent predator, a shadow drifting through woodlands and grasslands alike. Its golden coat, patterned with dark rosettes, provides near-perfect camouflage among tree shade, dense brush, and rocky outcrops. Leopards are remarkably adaptable animals. They can thrive in a wide range of habitats, from open savannas and thick forests to semi-arid landscapes. No matter where they live, they remain discreet and mysterious, revealing themselves only when the moment to strike has arrived. In this unforgiving land, every species follows its own path to survival. Lions depend on strength and cooperation, while cheetahs rely on explosive speed across open plains. The leopard, however, follows a different strategy, one built on patience, silence, and perfectly timed ambushes. A leopard never rushes. It watches from the shadows with absolute calm, every movement deliberate and soundless. For hours, it may track its target, studying each step and waiting for the precise instant to act. When the time comes, its body seems to merge with the darkness, using rocks and shrubs as cover, advancing slowly until escape is no longer possible. Then, in a sudden flash, it attacks swift, precise, and unstoppable. Within seconds, powerful jaws close around the throat of its prey, ending any chance of resistance. Yet the hunt does not end with the kill. On the open plains of Ngorongoro, leaving a carcass on the ground is an invitation to danger. Lions and hyenas patrol constantly, ready to steal a hard-won meal. Here, the leopard's unique strength becomes its greatest advantage. With remarkable power, it drags its prey into the branches of a tree beyond the reach of rivals. Even antelopes heavier than the leopard itself can be lifted with ease. This is survival for a solitary hunter. Still, even top predators are never completely safe. In this relentless world, constant vigilance is essential. Lions pose the greatest threat. An adult male can kill a leopard with a single blow. Hyenas, persistent and numerous, relentlessly attempt to steal its food. Even cheetahs, smaller and faster, compete fiercely for space and resources. But the leopard is rarely an easy target. When pursued, it does not stand and fight, it vanishes. In seconds, it can scale a tree or melt into the shadows, leaving danger behind. In the daily struggle of the wild, victory does not always belong to the one who confronts. Sometimes survival means remaining unseen. Unlike lions, the leopard does not seek attention. Unlike hyenas, it does not strive to control vast territories. It is a solitary ruler, a silent predator that reigns from the darkness. A dense patch of forest, a sturdy tree branch, and the cover of night are all it needs to command its hidden kingdom. When people think of hyenas, they often picture scavengers trailing lions and waiting for leftovers. But that image tells only part of the story. In reality, hyenas rank among the most efficient predators on the savanna. They do not rely on chance to survive. These animals are skilled hunters, and their success rate can rival, and at times even exceed, that of lions. Beneath their seemingly awkward appearance lies a highly complex society, sharp intelligence, and hunting strategies refined over thousands of years of evolution. Hyenas do not thrive alone. Their strength comes from the clan. This is not a chaotic group, but a strictly organized hierarchy led by a dominant female. In hyena society, females hold absolute authority. They are larger, stronger, and more aggressive than males, and they make the critical decisions that guide the clan. Under the leadership of the matriarch, the clan operates like a disciplined force, coordinated, strategic, and relentless. A hunt begins with subtle signals understood only by clan members. Unlike lions, which rely heavily on stealth, hyenas depend on numbers and intelligence. When one spots a potential target, it does not rush in. Instead, it sends short vocal cues, summoning the others. Within moments, the clan moves as one, spreading out to cut off escape routes and surround the prey. An aging buffalo, its curved horns worn and its movements slow, senses the danger and attempts to rejoin the herd. But the opportunity has passed. Fast-moving shapes close in from all sides. This is the moment the hyenas have been waiting for. If hunting is an art, then stealing is a skill hyenas have mastered. On the plains of Ngorongoro, where food is the most valuable currency, dominance does not always belong to the best hunter, but to the one who can hold on to its prize. Lions overpower their prey with brute strength. Leopards strike with precision, but hyenas possess something unmatched: endurance and overwhelming collective force. A lion, exhausted after a long chase, finally brings down its kill and claims its reward. For a brief moment, the savannah is quiet. Then piercing laughter echoes across the grasslands. Calculated steps draw closer. The hyenas have detected the scent of fresh meat. They do not charge blindly. Instead, they form a tightening ring around the lion. One advances with taunting growls, testing its resolve. Another moves along the flank, applying steady pressure. The lion roars and stands its ground, but as more hyenas arrive, the balance of power begins to shift. The hyenas do not need a direct confrontation. They simply wait until the lion realizes that no meal is worth the risk of death. In the end, the king of the savannah withdraws, leaving the prize to the most persistent thieves of the plains. Hyenas are far more than scavengers within the food chain. They are not weak, nor are they cowardly. They are disciplined fighters, intelligent hunters, and bold opportunists who seize every chance to survive. In a harsh world where vulnerability has no place, hyenas do more than endure. They assert their presence and rule the savannah in their own relentless way. Across the wide grasslands of the Ngorongoro crater, where dominance belongs only to the most capable, there is a predator that does not rely on sheer size or raw strength. Its true power lies in discipline, speed, and flawless teamwork. These are African wild dogs, exceptional hunters with success rates that can reach up to 80%, the highest among all large predators. In a land where every hunt is a fight to survive, they are never to be underestimated. Unlike the iconic rulers of the savannah, African wild dogs lack the massive build of lions or the brute force of hyenas. What sets them apart is their lean, agile physique, perfectly adapted for endurance. They can pursue prey over vast distances without tiring. Their mottled coats of brown, black, and white not only make each individual unique, but also provide natural camouflage in tall grass. Yet their greatest strength is not physical. It is the unity of the pack. African wild dogs live in tightly structured social groups. A dominant breeding pair, male and female, guides the pack's movements, hunting decisions, and overall survival. Every member has a role, from frontline hunters to caretakers that guard and feed the pups. Even injured individuals are not left behind. The pack supports them until they recover and rejoin the hunt. A wild dog hunt is never a solitary effort. Each animal performs a precise function, and every movement is carefully coordinated. Unlike cheetahs, which rely on brief bursts of speed, or lions, which depend on power, wild dogs employ a different strategy altogether: endurance hunting. When a wildebeest appears on the horizon, the chase begins. They do not depend on ambush or surprise. Instead, they trust their method. A few dogs initiate the pursuit, forcing the prey to flee. But this will not be a short sprint. The farther it runs, the more vulnerable it becomes. The pack takes turns leading the chase. When one dog slows, another seamlessly replaces it, ensuring constant pressure. The prey cannot rest, cannot hide, and exhaustion soon becomes unavoidable. As panic sets in, strength fades. Breathing grows heavy, and speed declines. That is the moment the pack closes in. One dog bites at the hind leg to bring the animal down. Another blocks its escape. Within seconds, the entire pack surrounds the prey, bringing the hunt to its swift conclusion, an unmistakable display of precision, cooperation, and survival at its most refined. Despite their remarkable efficiency, African wild dogs are far from invulnerable. The savanna offers no absolute safety. Lions, the undisputed apex predators, do not see them as true rivals. Yet they may still attack a pack simply to eliminate competition. Agile and intelligent as they are, wild dogs lack the raw power to confront lions directly. When faced with such danger, their only option is to flee. Hyenas are another constant threat. A pack of wild dogs can bring down prey with impressive speed. But if they fail to feed immediately, hyenas often arrive in overwhelming numbers and steal the kill. The dogs cannot defend their meal through force alone, nor can they afford to hesitate. They must eat quickly and move on before their presence draws unwanted attention. In this unforgiving world where strength often sets the rules, African wild dogs are neither the largest nor the most powerful predators, yet they endure. Through cooperation, sharp intelligence, and near-perfect hunting strategies, they have survived for thousands of years, earning their place as one of the most successful hunters on the African savanna. In Ngorongoro, a land ruled by predators and shaped by nature's harshest laws, there is a creature that refuses to live as easy prey. Within this unforgiving landscape stands one of the savanna's true warriors, the African buffalo. It does not flee at the first sign of danger. It does not surrender to fear. When threatened, it stands its ground, ready to fight. And in doing so, it can become a formidable challenge even for the most feared hunters. An adult buffalo is anything but ordinary, weighing between 600 and nearly 1,000 kilograms, with powerful muscles and legs capable of carrying it at speeds of up to 55 kilometers per hour. Its sheer presence commands respect. Its most dangerous weapons are its massive curved horns, hard as iron and designed for combat. These horns can pierce the hide of any attacker, while its thick skin offers protection even against the bites of lions. Buffaloes are not helpless victims, they are battle-hardened survivors of the wild. Buffaloes do not move across the savanna alone. They travel in vast herds that can number between 200 and 500 individuals, forming a living fortress. This is not a chaotic crowd, but a disciplined formation. Calves and females remain protected at the center, while the strongest and most experienced males take position along the outer edges, ready to confront danger. When a threat appears, they do not scatter in panic. Instead, they stand united, hold their ground, and face their enemy with unyielding resolve. On the plains of Ngorongoro, clashes between buffaloes and lions rank among the most dramatic encounters in the natural world. Lions, Africa's apex predators, constantly search for opportunities to isolate a buffalo, yet they know the danger is extreme. A single mistake can be fatal. A fully grown buffalo can hurl a 200-kilogram lion into the air with one charge, and a precise strike from its horns can end a predator's reign in seconds. Time and again, buffaloes have killed lions, crushing ribs, breaking spines, and shattering skulls in acts of fierce resistance. That is why lions rarely attempt to take down a buffalo on their own. Success depends on teamwork surrounding the target and trying to isolate the weakest individual, the old, the young, or the injured. Even then, a buffalo is never an easy target. When one is attacked, the entire herd may turn back and launch a counteroffensive, charging with unstoppable force. Their sharpened horns and raw power can scatter even the most seasoned lions, forcing them to retreat. Yet buffaloes are far more than fearless fighters. They play a vital role in maintaining Ngorongoro's ecological balance. As they move across the land, they graze tall grasses, creating open spaces that benefit smaller herbivores such as gazelles and impalas, and helping to preserve the natural structure of the ecosystem. Without them, dense vegetation would take over, reshaping the landscape and threatening many species. They also share a unique partnership with oxpeckers, birds that feed on parasites from their skin. With every step, buffaloes stir up insects from the ground, providing food for countless other birds. Buffaloes are not merely large grazers, they are giants that refuse to bow to predators. When a herd advances, it is not just in search of fresh pasture. It moves like a living army, unified and unafraid. Lions may succeed in hunting them, but they can never truly dominate them. In a world where survival is written in blood and strength determines fate, few animals dare to confront Africa's most powerful predators. The buffalo stands among them. It does not retreat. It holds its ground. It fights, and when necessary, it drives even the mightiest hunters into flight. This is the legacy of Ngorongoro's indomitable warriors. Across the wide grasslands of the Ngorongoro crater, where predators are in constant pursuit, there is an animal that survives without claws or raw power. Its greatest defenses are speed, strategy, and a mystery that has fascinated scientists for centuries: the zebra. One of the most iconic symbols of the African savanna, the zebra is known not only for its graceful stride, but also for its striking black and white coat, a vital adaptation that helps confuse some of nature's most efficient hunters. For decades, researchers have sought to uncover the true purpose of those bold stripes. Are they simply a unique pattern, or do they serve a critical function? One widely supported explanation is visual disruption. A single zebra may stand out in the open, but when a herd moves together, their overlapping patterns merge into a shifting optical illusion. Under the harsh sunlight, the stripes blur into one another, making it difficult for lions and hyenas to lock onto a single target. Recent studies suggest another remarkable advantage: temperature regulation. In the intense African heat, the white stripes reflect sunlight while the black stripes absorb warmth, creating subtle air currents along the body. This natural cooling effect helps zebras regulate their body temperature and conserve energy, even during the hottest hours of the day. Perhaps the most unexpected benefit of the striped coat is protection against insects. Blood-feeding flies and disease-carrying mosquitoes, serious threats to many savanna herbivores, rarely settle on zebras. Scientists believe the sharp contrast of the stripes disrupts the insect's vision, preventing them from landing accurately. This gives zebras an important defense against parasites and infection. Despite these extraordinary adaptations, zebras remain among the most targeted prey in Ngorongoro. Lions, hyenas, and cheetahs all rely on them as a key food source, and it is common to see entire herds racing across the plains in desperate escape. Yet zebras are far from defenseless. Their greatest advantage lies in their combination of speed and endurance. They can sprint at nearly 65 kilometers per hour, fast enough to outpace most predators except the cheetah. But more importantly, they can sustain their pace over long distances, often exhausting their pursuers. And when escape is no longer possible, zebras fight back. They wield a powerful and dangerous weapon, a crushing kick. A well-placed strike from an adult can break bones, inflict serious injuries, and even disable a lion, forcing the attacker to retreat. Other zebras nearby will often respond aggressively as well, making even experienced predators hesitate. Beyond their powerful legs, zebras also possess surprisingly strong jaws. Unlike many grazing animals, their teeth are not only for feeding. When threatened at close range, they can deliver painful bites capable of injuring a predator and ending the hunt altogether. In the unforgiving world of Ngorongoro, survival belongs not only to the strongest, but to those equipped with intelligence, resilience, and adaptations honed by time. And among them, the zebra stands as a master of endurance and defense on the African plains. Even so, escape is never guaranteed. When a coordinated hyena clan manages to surround them, or when a lion succeeds in isolating a single individual, a zebra's chances drop sharply. That is why they rarely move alone. Survival depends on the shifting patterns of their stripes and the safety found within the herd, where confusion and numbers offer their best protection. Beyond their role as prey, zebras are essential engineers of the Ngorongoro ecosystem. By grazing on tall, coarse grasses, they clear the way for smaller herbivores such as Thompson's gazelles and wildebeest, helping maintain balance across the plains. Their seasonal movements also shape the rhythms of other species, triggering food chains that would struggle to exist without them. Ultimately, zebras are far more than targets for predators. They are resilient survivors, relying on intelligence, agility, and finely tuned adaptations to endure in a world where life and death are tightly intertwined. Across the vast African plains, they continue to move forward with quiet determination, their stripes confounding hunters generation after generation, standing among the most enduring species on the continent. In this untamed realm, every struggle for survival reminds us that no species exists without meaning. Each creature carries a unique purpose, a role woven into the fragile balance that sustains the natural world. From the most powerful predators to the most vulnerable prey, all are vital links in a chain that has kept life moving forward for thousands of years. The land splits into long fractures that cut across the plain like ancient scars. A heavy veil of dust drifts close to the ground, stretching toward the horizon. Above, thin clouds scatter, allowing sunlight to pour through and strike the hardened surface below. There is no flowing river here, yet the earth begins to tremble. Across the cracked crust, thousands of hooves strike in unison. With every step, dust erupts and spreads outward. The first animals move forward, and behind them the surge continues. Grasses bend in the direction of travel, carving a pathway that seems to have no end. The entire savanna moves to a single rhythm. From the open plains of the Serengeti to the gentle lowlands of the Masai Mara, the ground is no longer still. Herds of every size advance with the wind, guided by distant signs of rain. Each journey is part of a greater cycle, where survival depends on a migration timed with remarkable precision. Nothing in this ecosystem remains unchanged. It shifts with the seasons, with water, with the growth of grass, and with the passage of each herd. Every species plays a defined role, and every behavior helps sustain the pulse that keeps the plains alive. When one species begins to move, another immediately adjusts its course. As grass is grazed down to the soil, waste returns vital nutrients to the ground. When prey falls, decomposers are already in place. Together, the Serengeti-Masai Mara region functions as one of East Africa's central biological engines. Energy is generated the moment hooves strike the earth and is carried onward through every mouthful of grass, every chase, and every fallen body. Nothing in this system exists without purpose. Each element matters only when it flows with the natural rhythm. Across these untamed grasslands, the Great Migration draws all forms of life into a powerful predatory cycle that never truly pauses. Fresh shoots blanket the land after recent rains, their narrow leaves bent in unison by the wind. On the open plains, newborn calves stumble away from the birthing grounds and merge into the moving mass of adults, advancing without hesitation. They do not wait for strength to build. Motion begins at once. As the rainy season reaches the southern edge of the Serengeti, wildebeest herds leave their calving areas. The first groups cross the damp earth, trampling young growth and etching their path across the plain. The movement does not break. Smaller groups merge into larger bodies as herds from different directions converge along shared corridors. Routes may shift, but the overall direction remains unchanged. The pace is steady and relentless. Under thousands of hooves, the ground yields, forming deep impressions. Grass is pressed flat. Droppings fall in an unbroken pattern. The air grows heavy with the scent of bodies, waste, and churned soil. Every footprint marks the passage of a living current sweeping across the savanna. New life quickly appears in its wake. Dung beetles burrow beneath fresh mounds. Low-flying birds follow closely, and weaker wildebeest begin to lag behind. Their presence draws scavengers and predators waiting along the edges. The migration cuts through the grasslands, opening pathways that other species soon follow. Tall grasses vanish, old roots are broken, and the soil is loosened by hooves and organic matter. Each area they cross becomes a zone of biological renewal after the dry season. Every wildebeest plays a direct role while alive. They deposit nutrients and chemical traces. In death, their bodies become centers of decomposition. Birds, insects, and microbes arrive in layers. There is no need to search. Food is already available for scavengers. There is no delay. Beetles immediately begin their work. There is no isolation. Predators simply watch and wait for those that slip behind the flow. All life benefits from this concentrated movement. Wildebeest do not create the ecosystem, but they set it in motion. Microbial communities in the soil awaken as organic matter surges through the system. Other species begin their own journeys as the wild pulse passes. This ecosystem does not operate by chance. It responds precisely to the signals released by the migration. As the wildebeest press forward, the grazing zones along their migratory corridor are reshaped in real time. Life concentrates along their path, and every place they touch becomes a link between multiple biological layers. No single species clears the way alone. No cycle begins without a trigger. Reproduction follows the rhythm of the rains while the soil still holds moisture. New life is born. The moment the calves are able to stand, the herd moves on again. This tight synchronization offers protection from immediate predators, but it also sends powerful signals through the entire system. The landscape left behind changes rapidly. Grass sprouts where it was once trampled. Bacteria break down organic remains, and moisture is retained near the surface thanks to the fresh input of nutrients. For a time, each area crossed by the herd becomes a center of biological renewal. Other grazers arrive later, taking advantage of what remains. Older vegetation has already been consumed, allowing shorter, younger grasses to flourish. There is no direct competition. Many species rely on the wildebeest's passage as a natural process of clearing and renewal. The soil stays loose, roots spread more easily, and conditions align for the next cycle. The moving mass of wildebeest also reshapes the strategies of predators. Hunters must adjust their breeding seasons, ambush tactics, and territories according to the herd's pace and direction. Scavenging birds track the places where carcasses appear. Vultures, crows, and wild dogs gather around zones marked by decay. The ecosystem keeps time like a living structure. Rain may set the stage, but the wildebeest herd is the first mechanism to turn. No single animal chooses the route, yet together they generate enough momentum to drive the entire system. On the living map of the region, the wildebeest migration acts like a heartbeat. Each year, that pulse returns. From the southern calving grounds to the northern grasslands, every stretch of land responds in a predictable sequence. Other species do not exist because of the wildebeest alone, but the functioning of the system begins with their passage. Nothing in the herd's behavior happens in isolation. Every hoof that strikes the ground sets change in motion. The land shifts, vegetation is redistributed, and new life emerges. This is why wildebeests signal the beginning of the life cycle in East Africa, not because they are the strongest or the fastest, but because their first step sets the entire ecosystem in motion. Each year, when the first rains return and soften the land, a single hoof meets the ground once more. From that moment of contact, the cycle of life begins again. Short grasses spread across the damp soil at dawn. The air is still. At the edge of a shallow hollow, a pride of lions lies pressed low, concealed among scattered shrubs. Early light washes over their backs, blending with earth darkened by heat. In the distance, a wildebeest herd advances. The groups stretch into loose lines, shifting direction as they follow the low ground. Gaps begin to open between individuals. Young calves drift toward the edges, and the lions hold their ground, using the contours of the land, moving in wide, deliberate arcs. Each hunter keeps a precise distance. Angles of approach tighten from multiple sides. There is no warning, no prolonged chase. As the herd crosses the depression, the moment unfolds. One animal becomes separated. Its escape route narrows. An open patch of ground becomes the point where motion ends. The prey falls, and the grass is pressed flat beneath it. The lions spread out around the body. One secures the kill, while the others melt back into cover. The landscape settles into silence. Wind moves on. There is no struggle, no further disturbance. Hoofprints remain etched into the loosened soil. The scent of blood begins to drift close to the ground. This hunt is driven by precision, not speed. Lions do not rely on long chases. They succeed through positioning, spacing, and a deep understanding of herd movement. Each individual plays a role. When the distance closes, force is applied together. Often, prey is taken in moments of imbalance, too far from protection and too close to avoid the closing circle. The outcome is shaped by natural behavior, not by chance or error. Once selected, the prey cannot recover its position. High above, scavenging birds sense the warmth of the body and begin to circle at altitude. On the ground, beetles detect the organic scent released into the air. Decomposers arrive even before the lions leave the site. Within hours, the soil around the carcass darkens, their fluids seep into the base of the grasses. Roots draw in the nutrients. Soil bacteria cling to what remains. New shoots begin to rise, guided by heat, moisture, and nitrogen. By afternoon, the pride rests beneath low trees stretched along the brush. Around them, the grass stands still once more. No major movement follows. The marks of their paws extend across the softened paths and fade at the edge of the plain. The morning hunt leaves no sound behind, but the land retains its evidence-absorbed fluids, embedded bones, and microbial changes already underway. Short grass spreads evenly across the open landscape, carrying forward the quiet imprint of what has passed. The ground is dry and fragile. Beneath low shrubs pressed close to the earth, a leopard moves without sound through narrow gaps. Its body stays flattened against the soil, detached from any motion above. The wind shifts again and again, pushing patches of grass in different directions. Nothing breaks the boundary of dust and shadow. The distance closes steadily, without disturbing the scene. Ahead, a group of Thompson's gazelles feeds, spaced in loose, even lines. Younger animals linger toward the outer edges, drifting with the breeze. Between hunter and herd, there is no cover, only open, arid ground. The leopard maintains a measured pace, making no sudden adjustments and never rushing the moment. At a workable range, it pauses beside a small rise. Its body folds into the edge of shade. The landscape holds its breath. When a leopard hunts on open plains, conditions must align gentle undulations in the land, evenly scattered shrubs, and prey that remains spread out rather than tightly grouped. Hunting alone leaves no margin for recovery once detected. A single misstep sharply reduces the chance of success. There is no partner to disrupt the herd, no coordinated retreat. Every phase depends on closing the gap with absolute precision. If that limit is crossed, the prey reacts and control is lost. The leopard is not built for endurance across open ground. Its strength lies in short bursts of speed. Each chase unfolds over a brief distance. If the line breaks or the gazelle responds instantly, the attempt fails, and failure is more common than success. Not due to a lack of skill, but because the leopard's hunting space is shaped by countless variables: wind direction, sun angle, grass height, and prey distribution. Even so, its presence alone alters gazelle behavior. Small herds rarely remain spread out in exposed areas. Youngsters draw closer to their mothers. Feeding pauses. Groups quicken their pace when crossing zones with limited visibility. A successful kill is not required to leave an effect. The mere appearance of a leopard reshapes herd formation and rest patterns. Grazing cycles shift, reducing pressure on a single spot and spreading vegetation used more evenly across the region. Leopards do not challenge lions or hyenas through open conflict. Their solitary approach adds a second layer of influence. They avoid direct competition, yet they shape how prey occupies the landscape. No herd stays concentrated for long. No herbivore holds prolonged control over the plains. This irregular presence forces prey to disperse in search of lower risk. No group maintains the same structure long enough to damage grass growth. No area is stripped bare. The pressure is subtle but constant. A baseline level of alertness persists, even without active hunts. The leopard favors isolation and leaves little trace. It draws no gatherings of scavengers. Small prey is consumed quickly, leaving minimal remains and little scent to attract larger species. By selecting smaller animals, the leopard limits interference and avoids attention. Its role rarely sparks conflict within the predator network. As evening approaches, it withdraws quietly from the edge of the plain. Across the Grumeti Plains, the ground bears fine cracks left by a brief dry spell. Fresh grass has emerged, though it has not yet grown dense. Moving through the open landscape, a herd of zebras advances in a broad, organized line. Their passage raises little dust. The great wildebeest herds are still distant, not yet reaching this transitional zone. Striped bodies glide across the plain, trimming the grass as they head east and northeast. Shadows stretch over the pale soil. Larger individuals hold a steady pace, while smaller groups remain along the edges. The leading position shifts constantly. Their route is traced as a lighter band across the land. Grass bends and flattens into a gentle arc. Zebras typically travel ahead of the main migratory waves. They enter areas still untouched by hooves, following paths of their own. No collective signal is required. As soon as rainfall is sufficient to lift the grass slightly, the herd begins to move. Their journey remains local, yet it consistently precedes the peak of migration. This timing introduces a different rhythm into the system. Zebras do not wait for grass to reach its most tender stage. They arrive early, feeding on the upper portions of the stems and leaving the lower layers undisturbed. When other grazers follow later, the grass has already been trimmed closer to the ground, better suited to their feeding styles. As the herd crosses the region, it leaves a clear grazing line shaped by the direction of the wind. Vegetation is cut evenly. Low shrubs lose much of their cover, allowing more sunlight to reach the soil. The landscape becomes brighter and more open. Understory plants begin to reorganize in response to the new structure. Throughout their movement, zebras do not maintain rigid formations. They travel in spaced groups, widening the grazing corridor. At shallow water sources, the herd breaks into smaller units, each using different patches of vegetation depending on the terrain. This division creates a layered effect. Every cleared section becomes accessible to other life forms. From insects and ground birds to small herbivores, no single area remains crowded for long. The remaining biological layers are reshaped evenly across the plain. Zebras do not graze down to the roots. They affect only the upper growth, preserving the base. This residual layer becomes ideal for low-grazing species such as gazelles, warthogs, and smaller trailing groups of wildebeest. By moving first, zebras slow the intensity of impact caused by the larger herds that arrive later. Their breeding is not concentrated in one mass, allowing them to split freely into smaller groups. These units move independently without disrupting the broader migratory cycle. Each advances at its own pace, giving grasslands time to recover. No area becomes a lasting bottleneck within the system. When predators draw near, zebras do not respond by tightening into a dense mass. Instead, they fan out across open ground, breaking formation rather than compressing it. This behavior disrupts hunting strategies that rely on confusion within tight groups. By spreading apart, the pressure of pursuit is diluted, increasing escape opportunities for other species sharing the landscape. The tracks zebras leave behind are shallow yet continuous. Their droppings fall widely spaced instead of accumulating in heavy clusters. This even distribution enriches the soil surface, helping the grass retain moisture at its base. From these scattered nutrients, soil bacteria begin to expand. Dung beetles soon arrive, drawn by scent, turning and loosening the earth so new roots can take hold. From an ecological standpoint, zebras create a horizontal flow of biological movement. Their impact lacks the vertical force of wildebeest hooves or the concentrated pressure exerted by buffalo. But this steady passage reduces direct stress on the land. The ground absorbs a lighter, prolonged influence that is spread evenly across the plains. Predators adjust their routines to follow zebra movements, increasing the chances of successful ambushes. Lions, hyenas, and wild dogs position themselves in areas not yet reshaped by massive herds. Before the main migration arrives, regions such as grumeti function as independent hunting grounds. As a result, predation pressure is distributed more evenly over time. Zebras do not impose an intense biological load, but they help disperse its effects. The system absorbs this energy at multiple points. The soil is not disturbed for extended periods. Roots retain part of their protective layer, and recovery cycles resume more quickly after each change. During transitional seasons, if only the Great Migration crossed these plains, the land would bear the full force in a very short window. The soil would not have time to recover. Microorganisms would also struggle to multiply fast enough. Grass would be torn out by the roots rather than simply trimmed. Without zebra herds, the migratory corridor would lose its first layer of distribution. Predator activity would become compressed into fewer moments, and restoration cycles would lack a buffer. The grassland would shift in color more rapidly, exposing roots too early. The ecosystem would lose its characteristic resilience, becoming a narrow and fragile passage across open terrain. Zebras leave no dramatic aftermath, yet each passing group clears the surface, opens sight lines, and allows wind to move freely for a brief time. Every quiet wave of migration strengthens the system. It is this staggered, subtle rhythm that prevents the entire migratory movement from collapsing into a single, overwhelming surge. Across the open grassland, a narrow path cuts through the plain. Dust lifts lightly along a zigzag line, while the wind slips through mid-height grasses, carrying traces of movement that have not yet faded. Thompson's gazelles appear in small, scattered clusters, each animal keeping a carefully measured distance, guided by finely tuned instinct. On bare ground, there are no obstacles and no tall cover. Every movement is swift, marked by sudden turns that shorten the time spent within a predator's line of sight. When danger emerges on the horizon, the gazelles spring away on diagonal paths. Their escape routes curve unpredictably, forming a web of motion that is nearly impossible to read. Within moments, the group's structure loosens under outward pressure, then reforms once the threat passes. Calving takes place in isolated spots across the dry plain. The gazelles do not gather, nor do they remain in one place. Each female selects her own patch of short grass and moves at her own pace. As soon as the young can stand, the group shifts again, leaving no clear traces and no prolonged pauses. This scattered strategy prevents gazelles from becoming easy targets. Lions, hyenas, and leopards usually succeed only when an individual strays too far from the group's flow. Most maintain a steady rhythm, avoiding major breaks in formation. Speed aids their escape, but it is their unpredictable direction that most often disrupts an ambush. In such an exposed landscape, there is no true shelter. Gazelles turn openness itself into a defense. The clearer the space, the lower the risk. During the peak of the dry season, they make up much of the remaining biomass. While larger herds like wildebeests and zebras have already moved on, gazelles continue to travel steadily across the plains. They graze close to the ground, feeding on shoots that have not been trampled. Their constant motion prevents the grass from losing its color entirely. Each passage attracts small scavengers, field insects, and ground-dwelling birds. Their hooves leave shallow impressions that hold moisture just long enough for new growth to emerge. Areas crossed by gazelles often recover faster than untouched ground. Their ability to leave sensitive spots and return from different directions sustains a continuous rhythm of life. No species can survive by remaining fixed in one pattern here. Persistence depends on movement without permanent roots. Gazelle groups connect scattered pockets of life into a lasting biological flow. They serve as a buffer between top predators and lower levels of the food web. Without triggering population surges, they help maintain surface stability. When gazelles vanish from a region, the middle layer of prey collapses, forcing predators to shift abruptly and disrupting the natural order. The ecosystem loses its balancing force. Within the vast movement of the Serengeti Mara, gazelles act like a seam between ecological layers, thin yet vital. Each time they skim the ground in flight, they leave a subtle imprint. From that imprint, the rhythm of life holds its balance. After a night of rain, the ground remains damp, and a low mist still clings to the grass. From a shallow hollow at the edge of the plain rises a sour scent, the unmistakable sign of old flesh. Lying on its side is a carcass, the hide torn open in a long, ragged seam. Spotted hyenas approach from different points on the horizon. Within the group, order is precise. Each animal takes a position around the body without chaos or struggle. Powerful jaws tear effortlessly through tissue, stripping away large sections of meat and exposing bare bone. Slowly, the carcass is reduced and scattered by wind and movement. As the main structure collapses, younger hyenas move in from the edges. Their teeth are not searching for soft flesh. They lock into joints, separate limbs, and remove the final fragments clinging to bone. Only dry soil adheres to the exposed marrow. Everything else is broken down into small, disappearing pieces. Hyenas operate as a highly organized unit. Dominant individuals choose moments to hunt when conditions favor them. It is not an ending for predators or prey, but for the entire cycle that begins again where flesh breaks down. No presence interrupts and regulates the system as effectively as the hyena. They enter hunting grounds, tear flesh from powerful animals, and consume what remains. When they leave, the land is clean. No odor, no residue, no biological risk. On the living map of the savannah, where every creature leaves behind waste, only the hyena turns those remnants into a starting point. No other animal consumes what is left at the very end. When all have moved on, only dust remains, and the distant echo of the hyena, marking clearly that the cycle is complete and the ground is ready to begin again. Across the vast African plains, the great migrations reveal survival in its purest form. Every crossing, every shift in direction, every split-second choice can determine who endures and who falls behind. Danger is ever-present, unseen predators, deceptive rivers, and a harsh landscape that tests even the strongest bodies and instincts. Yet, despite these risks, millions of animals press forward, driven by an ancient impulse to endure, adapt, and keep moving. In this endless journey, unity becomes strength, resolve becomes protection, and survival stands as the sole objective. With this, we conclude our exploration of one of the most powerful and extraordinary spectacles in the natural world.